Hello everybody. This is a belated reply to the question about which books I'd most recommend for war games research purposes and historical research as well, for that matter. Anyway, finally got round to sorting out the books that I would recommend, and I thought I'd do a quick video to show them. Fairly bulky reading, as you can see from what's there, but I'll just go through them and give you a bit of a rundown. First one, with the Jocks, A Soldier's Struggle for Europe 1944-45. This is written by Peter White, who was a serving officer in the European campaign in 1944-45, and it is an absolutely superb account of his experiences during that period. It's full of human suffering and experience. It really brings home, I believe, the day-to-day existence and difficulties of a soldier of that period. It's a fantastic book. I actually bought this book quite some time ago, and I read it twice, and then foolishly, as you do, I gave it to the charity shop thinking that I wouldn't want to read it again, but I noticed that it was available on eBay, and so I got another copy of it. This copy's not as good as the one I got rid of, but I got a copy of it, and I intend to read it for a third time. It really is full of tremendous detail on a day-to-day basis, and I would highly recommend it. Unfortunately, Mr. White passed away quite some time ago, but his account really brings warfare and the European campaign to life. So anyway, that's one I would strongly recommend. You can just see it's published by Sutton Publishing. I got my copy off eBay. I think it was World of Books, so I would certainly recommend it as a very, very good read. Okay, next is Dunkirk by the somewhat extravagantly named Hugh Sebag Montefiore. I'm reading this book now, believe it or not, for the third time. It covers the story of Dunkirk, but it's not simply relating to the beaches and so forth. There is far more to it than that. The book itself covers the lead up to the German attack in May 1940, some of the political elements involved in there and the espionage, and then it deals with the attack itself and the response from the various Allied contingents to the German aggression. It is a very, very good read. That's a tremendous generalisation, but there's an awful lot of first-hand personal experience and personal accounts here from both sides. The maps are quite staggering in their detail, and if I can root one out for you, there you go. That might give you an idea of what it will cover. See if I can zoom that in a bit for you. There you go. Tremendous detail. Great if you're interested in that period of the Second World War, and it's also very, very interesting from the point of view of the backstory, the complete cock-ups made on both sides. And unfortunately, it's not very kind to the French. I think he's fair, but the account of the French basically balls up from beginning to end are just unbelievable. But you know, the British weren't exempt from it either, nor indeed with the Germans. But it's a very, very good account. It deals with some pretty harrowing events, such as the Wormhoed massacre, the massacre at Le Paradis, and also at Vinct, where the Belgian civilians were massacred. The accounts given of the various skirmishes, for example, on the Ypres Comines Canal, well, I know that was a battle rather than a skirmish, but what I mean is the individual actions of groups and so forth. Very, very interesting. The evacuations from places like, I think Boulogne was one of them, the fight at Calais, and then of course it goes on to deal with the actual preparations for the evacuation at Dunkirk, the defence by the French and the British, and the part played by the Navy and indeed the RAF. Very, very good book, full of very, very interesting information and detail. It serves as a great reference for the wargamer, and it's very well written, so I would recommend that one highly. Okay, next, this is a biggie. It's 2 volumes. As it says, the Waterloo campaign of 1815. 2 volumes, very, very well written by John Hussey. Comes highly recommended. The detail of the individual units, their behaviour, the commanders and so forth, as well as the action in terms of combat, is given. Lots and lots of first-hand accounts. A great deal of valuable information, I think, about that particular campaign for those who may be interested in it. I think it certainly justifies 2 volumes. There's not a page wasted in my view. As the back sheet shows, comprehensive history based on a lifetime's research and reflection. Details of logistical problems assembling, feeding and paying for a large multinational army. Success, failures, confusions and so forth on the French side. And then the second volume goes on to deal with, well, it's described as a masterful study of command, control and communications and even intelligence of all the major combatants during the Waterloo campaign. It is truly an excellent book. It's got lots of maps and information which the wargamer will find useful. For example, you've got details of cavalry attacks there. I know there's an awful lot been written on Waterloo, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. And there are some very, very good books out there. But this one is up amongst the best, in my opinion. Again, because it's full of authoritative information. It's also a damn good read, so I'd recommend this to those of you who are interested in that period. It's 2 volumes, as you can see. The price has come down quite a bit now because it's been out, I think, over 12 months or so. So you probably pick it up at a fairly reasonable price. Last but not least, I just thought I'd throw this one in as a last one. Antietam by John Michael Priest. This is a very unusual book. I picked it up when I was fortunate enough to be able to go over on a trip to America and follow the Civil War trail on the Eastern Front with my wife and sons. This is an account of the Battle of Antietam on basically an hour-by-hour basis. It tells you what's happening in the various locations and when it was happening, who was there, what was going on. As you can see, this page, 7:30 till 7:30 a.m. The Texas Brigade rushes into the cornfield. It is a very, very good read. It is packed full of information. And some very touching accounts and some quite detailed accounts of individual actions and individual soldiers' experiences. Highly recommended. I don't know whether you can get it in the UK. I've not checked on Amazon. This one, as I say, I picked up at Antietam and I was fortunate enough to get a signed copy. I highly recommend this one as well. So, having said I highly recommend all of those books, I hope there's something of interest somewhere along the line. And just before I go, I thought I'd just mention, I've been doing a bit of architecture or property development, you might say. I bought some buildings by Conflict, Chinese company, ages ago, and they're sort of a almost like a fantasy type Jacobean period or English Civil War period look to them. The ones I got, when I got them originally, they were all in a grey and sort of well, that's the woodwork you can see there on this one, dry brushed, and they were all sort of a grey finish like this. So what I decided to do is I decided that just on a whim the other day, I'll tart them up and turn them into a more English Civil War looking group, and that's what I've started to do. The one that you see here is this is effectively finished now. The resin, I think you can still get them. I'm not sure. I've had these a long while, but I think it was watching Gary's videos about English Civil War that sort of got me started, and then I saw the Yorkshire Gamer doing his display of English Civil War the other day, and that prompted me to carry on. So anyway, what I've done basically is gone over them in lighter coloured paints rather than the grey that they were before. This is all dry brush grey. Gone over them in acrylics, tarted them up, bit of washing and so forth, and gradually turning them into an English Civil War type village, rather than the fantasy buildings, which is I think that was their original intention. But they're quite solid buildings. They've got a bit of weight to them, and this one's still in the process of being painted, but it should give me a decent Civil War village to work round. Basically, is a change from doing things like what you can see here. The French, I've started doing the French that I filmed the other day. I've got down to the stage now where I'm actually doing the flesh, and then I'll move around to doing other bits and pieces on them. Anyway, I've waffled enough for the moment. Sorry if I'm making you a little bit dizzy about that, but I hope those recommendations are of some interest to you, and I'll catch you next time. Take care. Cheers now.